This is Granddaddy Speaks, and I'm Andy Beverly. I'm going to talk to you today about bullfrog hunting. When I was a boy, growing up in North Florida, frogs were very, very numerous, and people wanted to buy bullfrog legs to cook, and they were so good when they were fried with a little bit of egg on them and a little bit of flour on there on the egg. It was such a good thing that people just loved them, and the restaurants were all trying to get bullfrog legs so that they could have them on their menu, because the people with money in their pocket would buy them. And so when I was still too young to even drive a car, I would get a light on my head with a strap around it and a hook to a battery, one of those night lights that you can wear around your head like you see on the head of coal miners in pictures. And I would go out on the lake and with my gig and a bag with a big tin can on top of it, and the tin can had the top cut out of it, and the tomatoes or whatever, beans or something that had been in it had been used up with a big old tin can. And you would have cut it across this way and cut it across that way and bent the points down a little bit, and you'd slip your frog right into the bag after you caught him, and he'd slide down into the bag and he'd be hopping around in there, but he couldn't get back out of that tin can because the points were bothering him and he couldn't get by them. And so I would go out at night and I would go out and gather up sometimes a whole burlap bag, a big round old burlap bag, like a yard size bag for trash. And those big burlap bags were real good for putting frogs in. And the next day I would give my daddy and my sisters ever how many of those frog legs they wanted. And if it was a weekend, I'd get daddy or one of our uncles or somebody to take me to town to the Piggly Wiggly grocery store. And the owner there, Mr. Johnson, would look at my legs and say, well, you clean those frogs up nicely, you got everything just right. And he would give me $1.10 a pound, and I might have 100 pounds of frog legs. And in those days, that was a huge amount of money. People working for the state made $400 a month, and that was because things were so cheap. You know, you could buy a 6-pack of Cokes for $0.25, and you could buy a case of Cokes, which is 24 bottles. You could buy a case of Cokes for a $1 bill. And that's a lot different than it is now. So money would buy more. Cars cost $800 or $900 brand new. And so here was a 12-year-old boy making himself $110 sometimes. And a lot of times $50 and $80. And so frog gigging was a fun thing in those days and was good, and it taught me something that I have practiced all of my life. And that is, if you want to be in business, have several things you know how to do. Be an entrepreneur, but have a couple of 3 things backed up there so that you got something to do if one doesn't work for a while. A lot of people don't like to eat frog legs in parts of the year when the weather's real hot, and they think that the frogs are laying their eggs in the water, or for some reason or another. So during the real hot times, you better be able to make fishing poles so that people can make fishing poles out of your bamboo that you've stained and made pretty by running it up and down with a hot torch, or dug up fish worms for them to buy from you. You always ought to have something to do. So for those of you that are young, once you become an entrepreneur, that means somebody that's got his own business. Get you some sidelines so that when things slow down in one, you can tighten them up in another. This is saying thank you for watching me from Grandfather Speaks. Bye.